All right, welcome back. Today we are going to be talking about interesting interactions in Nine Kings. So let's talk all things troops, buildings, blessings, royal decrees, and more. Let's start with our troops and our plots. So first off, Ogres. Ogres reads every year increases 5% of all stats for each adjacent empty plot. So note that the empty plot needs to be owned and not raised. So that means that if the plot is destroyed or you do not control it, meaning that you could not place a unit or building on that plot, then the ogres will not get the stat boost from that plot. That is why edge plots do not work and raised plots no longer count as an empty plot. So keep that in mind so that you can optimize your ogre placement. And here's an absolutely broken combo: Slime plus Unify. So slime will proliferate to an empty adjacent plot if available every year. Proliferating means that these plots are copies of the slime that proliferated. So this means that they will have the same number of units, same level, damage, health, hits per second, movement speed, and crit chance. If you let the slime proliferate, then unify, then you will multiply your number of slime troops in one plot by how many plots were unified into one. Let's look at a numerical example. I think that'll help with understanding how broken this can be. If we have a level 3 slime with 9 units and it proliferates to the 4 adjacent plots, and then we unify them, then we will have 45 slimes into the original slime plot. Then the slime will proliferate to each adjacent plot again for a total of 225 slimes. If you can get another unify, using it on that middle plot will get you 225 slimes in the middle plot. Then your slime will proliferate to the 4 adjacent plots again, and you will have 5 plots of 225 slimes for a grand total of 1,125 slimes. So this can get very broken very quickly using 1 slime over 5 plots and 2 Unify cards. So I know that was a bit complicated, so here's a few simple interactions. So something I didn't quite understand when I started playing Nine Kings was how Steel Coat works. So Steel Coat negates 1 attack for each stack on a troop. So it sounds pretty simple, right? But I originally thought this meant just the first troop hit in that plot. But no, there is a Steel Coat stack on every single one of the troops in that plot, and you can put an infinite number of Steel Coat stacks on a troop, and that will make any attack against them for as many number of steel coat stacks you have equal to 0 damage that they are taking. And as far as I'm aware, all of the enchantments can stack infinitely on a single plot, and they are applied to every single troop in that plot. Another interesting card is Migration from King of Nomads. So this will work on any plot to move the plot, but it gives a 10% damage boost and HP boost to anything that has that stat. You can move your base, demon altars, dragon's dens, towers, and any troop, and it will get that boost. Now your base doesn't have HP, but it will get that 10% damage boost, which is great. It works on walls, it gets the 10% HP boost. One thing about migration is that you don't get to choose the direction that your plot gets moved. Let's say you want to move your base to the left. If you really want it to go to the left, but there are other available options, the only way to ensure that it will move to the left is to make sure that left plot is empty and then fill the top, bottom, and right plots adjacent to your base. Then you can use Migration card on your base and it will move to the left, giving you that 10% damage boost. Another simple one, but it is unfortunate, is that you cannot regress a level 1 plot. It will just fail, and the card will be wasted, and the game will just continue. While we're talking about regressing, something else that I didn't think was possible, but is that your support buildings will work with regression. So your support buildings will go off the number of times for its current level plus its regress level. So if you have a level 3 farm, regress it and level it up. So basically it's a level 4 farm. You will get the 4 units per year, which is very exciting, and be sure to utilize regression on your support buildings. Continuing to talk about regression, on King of Greed, if you regress the palace, you also get the leveled up gold when the palace hits the marked enemies. So if your palace is level 3, you regress it and level it up again, so basically it's level 4, then you will get 4 gold from the palace on every hit. Overall, the gold from the palace is calculated as its current level plus the regress level, so use that to your advantage to fill up your bank. Regression is a really powerful card, so let's look at its effect with wall makers. Specifically, the walls double their HP every time it gets leveled up. So at level 1 it starts at 600 HP, level 2 goes to 1200, level 3 2400. If you regress and then level up again, so you have a level 4 wall, you'll double your 2400 to 4800. Then if you can regress and level it up again, level 5 walls have 9600 health. So this doubles very quickly, and regression plus wallmaker should not be slept on. While we're talking about walls, let's talk about forests. Forests can buff the HP of anything on your board with HP. So this includes your walls, cemeteries, demon altars, you name it. If it has HP, it can get buffed by forests. So specifically with your walls, the forest can buff the HP of them, and then whatever that HP is at the time that you level up, that is what is doubled. So you can technically have level 5 walls that are much higher than 9600 health. So this can get very broken very quickly. While we're talking about levels, let's talk about Patronage. Patronage is a rainbow card that levels up your base by 3 levels. But it should be noted that it cannot go above the max level. So this means if you are on quest mode or did not take the Ingenious perk, your max base level is 3. So Patronage could be a bit of a waste if you cannot get above level 3 and you take Patronage. There might be a rainbow card that is better suited for your board. If you have Ingenious times 1, your max level is 8. Ingenious times 2, your max level is 13. And Ingenious times 3, your max level of your base is 18. So Patronage cannot level the base up past these maximums unless you have used Regression. If you end up taking the Royal Council event Wishing Well with Patronage, that could be a great way to get 3 Patronage cards to your hand, getting 9 levels to your base, as long as you are able to level up your base 9 times. So that is certainly a fun combo and will really increase your base performance, leveling it up 9 times. Now on to some more combos. Mob says it gains a unit for each adjacent unit added. So Mob works really well with Mercenaries, since Mob will increase its units as you gain gold and therefore gain Mercenaries, and then even after you spend gold and your Mercenary count has gone down, as you build back up your bank account again, the Mob will increase as your Mercenaries increase again, without the downside of losing troops like your Mercenaries did. Mob also works when adjacent troops gain units from a farm. So you can basically get 2 for 1 from the farm per level. If you put some troops next to a farm, the mob will get 1 unit for every 1 unit added to the adjacent troop. Using Procreate cards on troops adjacent to mob, also add those to the mob, so you get double the troops from Procreate. So that is a great way to very quickly gain troops. While we're talking about mercenaries, you get a new mercenary in every single mercenary plot whenever you gain 15 gold. Or it could be less gold if you take the Tycoon perk. So if you need to quickly increase your troop numbers, it can be beneficial to place down multiple plots of mercenaries rather than leveling up current plots, because you'll have the same number of troops in each plot, basically multiplying your number of units. Just be careful, because for every 15 gold spent, you'll lose a mercenary from each plot. It should also be noted that mercenaries do not work with Procreate or farms. They always have the number of troops proportional to your amount of gold. So you can play a Procreate card, but your troops are fired immediately because you can't pay them. And if you play a farm, it appears that they get fired first to match your gold amount, and then the farm will add a unit to the plot for the year, so you get to use them in the battle, but then they will be fired the next year if they cannot be paid. Another really cool card is Earthworks. So Earthworks says unlocks targets adjacent plots. Targets cards return to your hand up to 3 copies. So something about Earthworks to remember is that if you are using it on a plot that has been buffed by a support building or a tome or has been given extra troops, if you Earthworks that plot, you will lose all of the upgrades that have been applied to that plot previously, which is very unfortunate. So one of my strategies is to try to Earthworks a support building so you can get back that forest or blacksmith beacon, something like that that doesn't have any stats so that you don't lose any buffs that you've previously gained on a plot. In addition, if you Earthworks a broken concabulator, 2 regular concabulator cards will be returned to your hand along with a broken concabulator card. So this is a great way to get back some concabulator cards and play another. And last but not least in this category is Cemeteries. So Cemeteries reads, if an adjacent unit dies in battle, summons an imp to fight in its place. So if you place multiple cemeteries next to a troop, when that troop dies, each cemetery will summon an imp to fight for that troop. So if you surround your troop with 4 cemeteries, you should get 4 imps to fight when each of your units dies. So that is a cool interaction. Let's move on to talk about blessings. So prosperity multiplies your gold by 9, but only works if you have 30 gold or less going into the blessing year. You gotta keep that in mind. Sometimes it can be really hard to reroll to get under 30, so plan ahead. If you have 30 gold going into the blessing year, prosperity will give you times 9, which is 270 gold, and that is what you have total. If you have holy, then you will get a grand total of 540 gold. So this is a great way to fill your pockets with gold. Now, a decree to watch out for that can be both very, very fun and rewarding or cause some distress is gambling. The gambling royal decree can completely ruin a prosperity blessing. Once you take gambling, if you take it before the blessing goes off, there's no reliable way to lower your gold enough before the blessing triggers. Even if you dump all of your money into the shops, by year 11, you will still have too much gold from the 9 passive gold per year that you gain, and prosperity will fail unless you can get under the 30 gold maximum. Let's talk some more about the holy perk and our blessings. So the holy perk will double your blessing effect. But watch out for the Illuminism blessing. Illuminism causes the plots to level up twice, so make sure your plots are level 1 on those selected plots, regressed, or can level up past level 3, or you will waste levels. And let's talk about if you take Holy with some of these other blessings. So Baby Boom doubles the number of units of the troop card on the targeted plot. So if you have 10 troops on a plot and Baby Boom goes off, you will now have 20. If you have holy times 1, then you will have 30 because you get plus 10 again. And if you have holy times 2, you will have 40 troops because you will get your plus 10 and then plus 10 2 more times. So one of the strongest combos in the game is using the holy perk times 2 with some of these blessings in the game. So if you do holy times 2 with the Zenith blessing, then you get a 300% damage increase. Zenith alone would give you a 100% damage increase, Holy times 1 would give you a 200% damage increase, and Holy times 2 will give you a 300% damage increase. And these percents also apply to blessings such as Peacetime, where the HP of the card is doubled. Alright, and let's move on to some royal decrees. So let's talk about Populate. Populate is one of my favorite royal decrees. So Populate says whenever any unit is added to any plot, add 1 extra unit. So 1 Procreate card normally adds 9 units. So Populate plus 1 Procreate card actually gives us 9 plus 9 units, so that's 18 units. If we have Populate times 2, then 1 Procreate card adds 27 units off of 1 card. Now, if we pick up the Fertility Royal Decree to get 5 Procreate cards to our hand and use all 5 Procreate cards, then we can get 135 units in 1 turn if we have Populate times 2 and take the Fertility Royal Decree. It is insane. So this is a great way to quickly multiply your troops. Something to mention with Populate is that slime does not work with it. Slime's proliferate does not count as adding a unit to a plot. So do not waste this combo. It would work if you use like a Procreate card on the slime, but the proliferation effect does not work with Populate, so you will not get an extra unit when it proliferates. Now let's talk about King of Nomads Royal Decree, Pillage. So Pillage reads, the effect of all plot destroying cards is applied +1 time. So this is not the same as playing that card twice. For example, Offering normally gives 3 tome cards, but if you take Pillage, you will get 4 tome cards. Sacrifice normally upgrades 1 level, but if you have Pillage, you will get 2 levels. Overhaul, you normally start with 2 upgraded plots, but with Pillage, you will get 3 upgrades the first time and then scale from there. Another King of Nomads royal decree that I really like is Smithy. Smithy stacks multiplicatively. Smithies double the effect from swords and shields. So swords start at 5 damage and shields start at 10 HP. So one smithy will make a sword go from 5 to 10 damage, and 2 smithies will make that damage go from 5 to 20 damage. Shields work similarly, so they start at 10 HP. If you have smithy times 1, it will go to 20 HP for 1 shield card. And if you have smithy times 2, 1 shield card will be 40 HP. So this is a great way to buff your troops very quickly. Now, here are the ones that I always forget about in my run and can sometimes screw me over. When you pick Diversification, which is a Rainbow Royal Decree that says you get to pick from +3 cards at your loot events every year, and you get to pick from any of the king's loots that you are currently at war with, you can no longer pick Jack of Rainbows cards when you fight them. So keep that in mind, that it is much harder to get rainbow cards because you don't get any from your Rainbow Army loot. And finally, Payroll. Your first reroll in every encounter gives you +10 gold instead of taking it. Once you reroll though, the next reroll starts at 20 gold for you to reroll. In addition, the shop encounter only gives +10 gold once per shop, so spend the reroll wisely to either reroll the cards or the merchant type. So there's a ton of the interactions that I've noticed in Nine Kings, and I am certainly not claiming that this is all of them in the game because there are so many more, but mastering these can be what separates a decent run from a completely broken one. Let me know what your favorite interactions are in the comments, and let me know which ones I missed that you've discovered. If you found this video helpful or enjoyed this video, please feel free to drop a like and be sure to hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out on any new Nine Kings content. And as always, thanks for watching.